Today we're going to be talking about clipping through objects using constrained movement on local, and despite having already talked about it before, I realized after several messages in-game on Discord and a few comments that I didn't really explain it very well. And I'd like to give a shout out specifically to Random Cat, who helped me realize that after they commented and said, "Hey, you didn't explain this very well," and I said, "Yeah, you're right." To start, we're going to talk about the anchor point, and as I've talked about in my last video, the anchor point is in a different place per decoration. For example, on this rod, it's right on the end, and on the Tenno Breach repair plate, it's kind of in a weird spot, not quite centered, but yeah. And then if we go and look at the medium asteroid rock, it's about as centered as you could possibly get it. And then on most statues, it tends to be on the bottom center. Now going forward, I want you to visualize your anchor points as cubes with collision detectors coming out from each surface. This may not be the best way to describe it, it's just the way that makes sense to me to explain. So there are two types of clipping. There is parallel and then there is angular. I'm going to cover parallel first. Parallel is what you're going to be using 90% of the time if you just need to bypass one single surface. When you go to pull something down, it's not going to work out so well because there's going to be this collision detector on that side that will stop you. However, for whatever reason, if you are able to place the object as far up against the surface as you can so it presses the anchor point against it, it lets the anchor point clip through the surface and bypass what it would originally detect as a collision. As such, it will allow you to pull the object through the floor like you saw in the last video with my horrible witchcraft explanation. It is important to note though that just because I have called it parallel clipping does not mean your object has to be parallel with the surface that you are clipping against. The key factor in this is more that you press the anchor point against the surface that you are trying to clip through, and then you can pull it which way you want to actually pull it through. On to angular clipping. This is what you're going to be using when you have already clipped through one or more surfaces and you are unable to place the anchor point against what you're trying to clip through next. Now for this example, I'm going to pull this down, and just like on parallel clipping, we still experience the downward collision that triggers, but the side collision is not triggering, so we can pull it that way until it hits, and now the side trigger is active, but the bottom has been bypassed, and now we can just pull it through. Keep in mind it does not have to be 15 degrees like I've shown here. That was just to make things hella obvious. You can turn it one little click like this, and it will still function the same. Do note though that the smaller your rotation is, the more you have to pull it over before you can bypass the downward collision and pull it through. I did want to give an example of what it's like to clip something through a lot of surfaces. For example, there's probably about 10 different objects I'm trying to clip this Lewis shard through. It can take a second when there's a lot. This is more just to show, again, that you can get anything anywhere you want. Some closing notes are: keep in mind that not all surfaces are uniformly flat. What you're trying to clip through may already be angled, and you don't have to angle your object to begin with. You can just pull it over and pull it back. That is it for today's video. I do have other videos planned, but I wanted to get this out of the way before going forward. Hopefully this was able to help anyone who still had questions. If you still have questions regarding this or anything else, or just want to see something in particular, please comment and tell me what that is, or message me on Discord. Otherwise, I will try to pump out more informative videos, and I will catch you guys later.